much kind of autobiography is there? Like, how much did it really draw from like your lives?
At the end of the day, you always realize after you make a film that every piece of it is just a reflection of yourself. It's like therapy for the
Hmm.
filmmaker. But yeah, I mean, that location, that's where we would go camping and tell scary stories and had lots of experiences.
Yeah, well, I mean, like,
chased after girls, all of the things that Ben's going
Yeah.
through. And I also I was a new dad, right, as we were writing this movie and planning to shoot it. And a lot of the horror dealing with like, what if my child was, something bad happened to them is what it is.
I was just taking it as he wanted to feed his children to witches. So
No, but I was staring at a baby monitor every night with my demonic looking child looking back at me with his glowing eyes, just thinking, this is terrifying. How do I write this in a script?
So let's talk a bit about the effects work in the film. So your dad, I know, did special effects work on The Evil Dead, so you kind of have practical effects in your family. Like, how much did that inspire your approach to the effects in this film and your decisions to really like go practical?
I think we just grew up, worshiping Sam Raimi and everything he was able to accomplish. And obviously he was mostly a practical effects guy. And there is a quality that we're just in love with, that practical effects sort of like give to a film, is there's this like magic trick sort of charm to them. Whereas CG can have charm and be amazing too. It's just a lot harder and trickier to pull off. And they don't naturally have that charm. Even the worst practical effect has some level of charm. So I think from the beginning, it was just something that we wanted to pull off. And we had sort of a slightly scary kind of body horror premise that would be ripe for it. And I think it tickled us, the idea that we kind of would get to follow in Sam Raimi's footsteps a little bit and make something in that vein.
And there's a huge advantage of doing practical, because you give the cast an opportunity to actually react to something that looks horrifying. You also give your director of photography the ability to actually light the elements that are actually there. So I think you almost end up with a better result in a lot of cases, because you're able to look at it through Video Village or through the camera and see what you're going to be showing to people, as opposed to shooting the film and then getting there and hoping that the CGI gets to a place that's convincing.
One of my favorite things about the movie is how really unique and really fleshed out and fully developed the occult mythology and the iconography. Like, how do you approach creating that sort of mythos and building it up and making it so real?
Well, for us, we did a lot of research. Yeah. So we found two myths that we liked quite a bit. One was Black Annie, or Black Annis, which is an English myth about a witch that lives in a tree, steals children, and eats babies. And then the Boo Hag, which is an Appalachian like skin walker, skin changer witch, that a creature that lives in other skins. So we took those and we put those together and added a few rules of ourselves. But for us, what we like about building mythology about a creature is giving you just enough to tell you what's going on and to kind of put the picture together in your mind. Because we feel like once you fill in all the corners of exactly how everything works, it stops feeling real and it stops feeling scary.
Yeah, and as far as like the iconography and things, we love the idea of like tying it to nature. So that's why we kind of decided to go with this like deer iconography symbol, and the idea that, we went with a dark witch, but we like the idea that whenever she's nearby, she makes things wilt. Yeah. There's a close tie in all the myths of like witches to nature.
Yeah, almost like evil Mother Nature, but also like we have all these different witch myths around the world, and honestly, the design of the witch and the look of her and the way she acts, we tried to make it influenced by like all of them, so that if you watch the movie and say you're familiar with a particular witch, you'd be like, oh, I see some of those characteristics in the way this looks or this is presented.